Welcome to Who's Who of Asian Americans in Houston. I'm your host, Jimmy Ma. It's a privilege to have a very special guest in the studio today with us, Victoria Eileen Bryant.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you.
Victoria, you're very well known in our community. You've done so much for not just the Asian community, but for Houston in general. Could you tell our audience a little bit about how you grew up and what made you who you are today?
Well, I think I grew up just like anyone else, any other kid here on the block, trying to work hard, being instilled values, by my parents. We're immigrants, and so the only way to succeed in life through their eyes is through education. And so that's pretty much all I focused on growing up. And went to high school, to a Vanguard school here, and then after that, my dad passed away when I was 16, and so I had to stay here in Houston to finish my college degree.
Well, not only, I'm sorry to hear that, but not only did you finish college here, you also went to pharmacy school here.
Yes.
How did you choose that career path?
Well, actually, it's a funny story. A lot of people know what they want to do in life, but I didn't. I really didn't. And it came to the point where I had to decide in college, I had to pick a major. After 2 years, you have to pick something. And so I decided and narrowed it down to three majors, and it was social work, being a teacher, or going to pharmacy school because I love chemistry. And so what I did was I went into the I went to the school and tried to find the education building, and I could not find it for the life of me. I said, you know what, this is a sign that I am not to be a teacher, so I crossed that off my list. And the same day, I went and found the social work building, and I was very excited. I wanted to help people. I went in there, and the lady came down the escalator, and then I asked her, where is the social work office? And she said, you know what, you have to first finish your degree before you can apply to our school. And I said, well, I guess it's not for me. They're not very welcoming. So I left that building. I said, well, there's only one choice left. So I went over to the pharmacy building. And when I walked in, it was all smiles. They greeted me. They gave me a hug. And they said they wanted me to come to their school. And so that's how I became a pharmacist.
So that's how a career in medicine chose you, actually.
Yeah.
But in a way, well, first of all, you would have been fine being a teacher or being a social worker. You would have been the best at what you do.
Yeah, well, those three were helping people, and that's what I wanted to do.
And you're doing the same thing now. You're still educating the next generation. You have children, and you're also doing a lot of social work, which actually turned out that being a pharmacist actually made it better for you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Everything worked out.
Everything worked out. The door opened. The doors that closed, I let it close. But the doors that opened, I walked through it.
When you're young, it's especially in college, all of us had a period of time where we're kind of lost, we're youthful and rebellious. We didn't know what we want to do. But the key is to pick something and stick with it.
That's right.
You did not just become a pharmacist. You actually became an entrepreneur. You started your own business that's related to pharmacy.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about what your business does?
Yes. So after I graduated, I finished my BS, and then I went back and got my doctorates because I didn't think that I was smart enough. So I went back, finished that up, and I got my first job at the VA hospital. I always wanted to work at the VA because, my dad was a veteran. And then that idea came and started my own business, and it's in the home health industry. And so I take care of seniors, and I send caregivers out to care for seniors. And so it's not exactly pharmacy related, but it's still in the healthcare field.
That's right.
And I've been doing it for 13 years. I love it. We've taken care of sometimes, mom, dad, and then the child, needs help at home as well. And so we go out there to help them as well.
Necessity. This is definitely.
It was a necessity, and it was a need at the time. And so I didn't do it because of the money. I did it because there was a need and a passion. And the passion drove me to be an entrepreneur.
The key word is you're passionate about what you do.
Yes.
That's why you go and do your best no matter what field you get into.
That's right. And you'll last longer too, and I think, because if you did something that your parents made you, or that you were forced, or that you thought the money was there, I don't think you'd be as happy, and it wouldn't be as fulfilling.
You have to enjoy what you do.
Yes.
And to keep that passion going.
That's right.
And then the money will come down the road
That's
as you
right.
continue.
That's right. And I was scared, when I first left my job, I made six figures and I went from six figures to zero to start this business. But I saw the future, I knew the potential, I knew what I could do with it. And it was believing in yourself was the hardest part. So once I got through that, it was much easier.
You have to take
Yeah.
risk and chances in life,
Yeah.
but it's not just blind risk.
No.
You
It was
calculated.
calculated.
That's right.
Yes.
You planned it. You had faith in yourself. You probably didn't know when your next paycheck will come. When you got
No, I
out.
cried for 2 weeks. 2 weeks
But
of crying.
but that gave yourself the pressure to continue doing the best that you
Right.
can, and you
Right.
provided a very good service that is a necessity for the community at that time.
Yes.
But that all relates to how you were brought up too, because you mentioned a little bit earlier your father passing away at 16, but you have a big family.
Yes, so I have four biological brothers, but my parents always took in kids, so we took in two more of family members, but that's not it. They were always very giving and open. We, divided everything we had. Whatever we had, we shared, and so we took in other people's kids all the time. And even up to after my dad passed away, my mom was still taking in kids. And the funny part is my brother would bring them home
Oh.
and we would take care of them. We would discipline them and, be family to them.
So it's ingrained.
Yeah.
The spirit of charitable giving is ingrained in your
Yes.
family
Yeah.
as a kid already.
Right. It's not something where you're like, should I do it? Should I not do it? No, this is what you need to do. We were given so much as children. People came to help us. People, who really cared about us. Even the little things like, I remember a lady came and cooked us crepe. And I thought that was so special. And I want to be able to do that for other people. And so it's always been giving back is part of what you do, not because they ask you to, not because you have to.
It should be something that
Yeah.
comes from the heart, and that
Yes.
you have to, and you made it a part of your life. You're doing very interesting work in Vietnam and in Brazil. What is it that you do there?
Yes, so since '97, I've done medical missionary trips, leading the lead pharmacist for the medical team. And recently, in the past couple of years, I've gone to Brazil and to Vietnam. And what we do, I work through an organization here called Voice to the Nations Foundation. And we basically go to underprivileged communities all over the world, especially Brazil and Vietnam, Southeast Asia, and provide resources for orphanages. And recently, I've been involved with substance abuse centers and supporting them. And it's really heartbroken when you see a woman with their children who live in the prison system. And so they need rehab when they come out. They need that living skill to sustain their family. And so, it's just heartbroken for me.
It's a very big challenge to have to go to somewhere like Brazil or
It's
Vietnam.
taboo too.
It is.
It's
It is.
taboo for Asians, to have problems.
That's right.
And to have a substance abuse or prostitution, that's a taboo for us. And so these women live in shame. And I feel that, I feel the need to help them.
These are the folks that are really in need of help, that are not enough programs have been done for them.
Yes.
So you're kind of a pioneer in this, and not only that, you're not donating just your resources, you're donating a lot of your time.
Yes, I like what they call foot activity. I like to show up. It's not just, I can PayPal money over, sure, no problem, right? PayPal, Western Union, they work in those countries
But
too.
you want to see it. You want to work it. Yes.
I want to feel it because, people, you can donate money, but when it comes from the heart, I think it's much more effective.
You have young children at home. You have three
Yeah.
kids. What do you do with them when you're on missionary trips?
They come with me, and I really believe that we have to instill in our children the work that we do. They have to come with us. They cannot be bosses around the house. I think children these days are too spoiled, and we need to remember that. And they need to know what parents do and what we're supposed to do as human beings. And it's nothing better than to show them at a young age that we need to give back. Okay, you're fortunate enough to have food on the table, to go to school, to succeed in life. But let's give some of that back to those kids who don't.
You have a very different philosophy for most parents, or not just Asian American parents, but most parents, as we
Yeah.
know. Uh,
I watch a lot of people, so I learn from
you
experiences.
took the best
I
and
took
trying to
the
instill it
best.
in your
Yes.
children. I love that idea of bringing the kids on these trips to not only to teach them,
Right.
but let them experience it, to feel it, to
I'm
know.
not saying they're gonna like it,
Oh, but they're gonna
because they
go.
did,
They're gonna
but they're
experience it
gonna go.
themselves. That's right.
They're gonna see, they're gonna experience it, and they can decide for themselves whether this is something they want to do or not. But you can have your career, you can have your family, you can have your church, you can have your community, but you can also have your volunteerism
Part of life,
as
part of your
part of life.
culture.
Yes.
We love it. Talking about giving back to the community, you have done so much. I can't even talk about everything you've served on, but the key is right now that you were actually named 40 under 40 by the Houston Business Journal last year, and you were
I can't
also,
believe they did that. I cannot
I mean,
believe
that is a big deal. I mean, for you being having three children and being involved so much and being so young, and to still be able to give so much of your time, I want to congratulate you on being named
Thank
40
you.
under 40. And you were also recognized as one of the 50 most influential women in Houston in 2013 by Houston Women's Magazine.
Yes.
I mean, that
I
this
say
is
that with humility. It's for all the women out there, the young women who give themselves. And so I say that for them.
it's all the work that you've done consistently throughout the years. You're being recognized, and well deservedly so.
Thank
So I want
you.
to congratulate you once again on that.
Thank you.
There's numerous awards, so we can't go through all of them, but those two are really interesting. And you're serving also currently as the president of the World Chamber of Commerce of Texas. World Chamber of Commerce.
World Chamber, yes.
So basically, you have your own career, your business.
Yeah.
This is a full-time job also.
It totally is. They call me all kinds of hours, and so
Wow.
I get emails from all times of the day.
It's a
So,
lot of work, but that's why it's important to have someone that's capable and to be passionate, because to you it's not work. To you it's something that
no.
you enjoy, and you know that you're spreading um, this love, this charitable thoughts and actions to every part of the world, not just here in Houston. We want to talk a little bit more about your duties as a president. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking to Victoria Bryant. Welcome back to Who's Who of Asian Americans in Houston. I'm your host, Jimmy Ma. Once again, we have our special guest with us today, Victoria Eileen Bryant.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all in Houston.
Victoria has done a lot for the community. A couple minutes ago, we were talking about the World Chamber of Commerce, how you are the president this year. Could you tell our audience a little bit about the duties that the president has to do?
Yes, so the World Chamber of Commerce, our parent is actually in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have offices all over the world. And it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So my job is to foster economic opportunities for businesses here, and especially of those who want to grow globally. And so we target different regions of the world and foster business in those areas, from here to there and there to here.
This is a big help to our community, because in Houston, we're an international city.
Yes.
We have so much diversity, but with the world economy being it is, with technology, we really are competing with not just other states or other communities. We're competing with everybody else all over the world.
Yes.
So being a part of the Chamber of Commerce, World Chamber of Commerce, gives you an advantage, because you have connections, you have peers on the other side in other countries,
Yes.
where they can help you with that.
Yes. And it's really important nowadays, maybe not so 50 years ago, but it's really important to network. And sometimes, the saying is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it really is who you know. Sometimes you want to get that contract going, you want to get that business, in other parts of the country. Sometimes you need to meet people. And this is a great way to do it, to meet people, meet other businesses, and collaborate.
To develop meaningful relationships
Yes.
that could help your business,
Right.
your office, the company that you work for. You don't have to own a
Right.
business to be part of the World Chamber of
No,
Commerce.
you don't. You can be professionals, or just you want that connection And it's a building trust, and people work with people who they trust.
Well, to trust someone, you have to know them.
Yes,
And to know them, you have to spend time with them.
that's right.
That's why this organization does help with that.
Yes.
But being the president of the World Chamber of Commerce, that's a big difference. You're not just Southwest Houston, you're not just Houston or even
Yes.
Texas.
Yes.
You're the president of the World Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Do you have to travel a lot for this duty?
Not yet, and the reason is because once we put the different trade missions together, and I've done trade missions before, but I think once we do that, we will have to, because we'll be bringing different delegations to countries to visit businesses and things like that, and we do host them here in Houston. And so at the Chamber, the World Chamber works with all the bilateral chambers. So if you're the Asian Chamber, Chinese Chamber, the African Chamber, we work with all those chambers to do a cross business, if you can see, to do business from Asia to Africa and Africa to Brazil and things like that.
Facilitate and
And
promote.
those, yes.
That's interesting because in Houston, we have so many different organizations
Yes,
that promote.
we do.
But for you, you're able to unite them.
Yes.
So Houstonians will have an easier way and a better way to reach out.
That's right, because you may have a business in the chamber. Let's say the Chinese chamber, for instance, who wants to do business Brazil. But if you have that connection, work with us, and we will be able to make that connection for you.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But that also kind of shows being in this position also shows that you have a world view at a very early age. I know that you obviously English is your native tongue. You speak English, like any other Estonian, but you also speak Vietnamese and French fluently.
Yes.
How did you end up? I mean, obviously you learned that while you're in Houston.
Yes, Vietnamese. I'm Vietnamese. So even I grew up in Houston, and my parents, even though they knew English, always spoke to us in Vietnamese at home. And I forgot it actually in high school. You forget because you start to have other friends outside of your home and my siblings and things like that. But as I got older, I felt the need to come back and embrace the language that I have, because 3 languages are better than 1. And so if you have that language, I think it needs to be embraced. Right now, we have the Mandarin school that just started. You have all these kids from other cultures who want to learn Mandarin because, Mandarin's everywhere now. Mandarin is in the business world, in the schools. And so if you have those skills already, embrace it, relearn it, do whatever it takes to have extra languages. And you're not competing just with your classmates anymore. That was passé. You're not competing with the kids from, the other states. You're competing with kids globally for the same job, for the same opportunity, for the same businesses.
You have to have a second or third language. It doesn't matter what language. It could be Spanish, it could be Vietnamese, it could be Mandarin. Embrace it. And it also, very importantly for us, is part of your heritage.
Yes.
We should not be ashamed of speaking this language because,
Right.
it not only does it help bridge that gap between cultures, it also helps your career down the road.
It does, and it helps to identify you and set you apart. If there are like 4 job applicants and you're the one that has an upper in the language skills, you're going to be the one that's going to be chosen. So the more you have, the more skills you have, the more language skills you have, the better.
That's definitely the way we should be going. That's the future. As a very diverse city here in Houston,
Yes.
This is an advantage that we have also.
Yes, we do.
Now that also helps you fulfill your duties as president of the World Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
There are some very interesting projects coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about what your focus will be on during your term?
Yes. So we have 6 different committees: the Energy Committee, the Education, Humanitarian, the Health, the Government Committee. And so all those committees work together on different issues. And right now, the Education Committee, I want to highlight them. The Education Committee is working with the school systems here, the A-Leaf school system, as well as the community college and the college level as well, to create an international gifted and talented school here in the A-Leaf area. And why is it important? Like you said, it's an international city. We want to attract the best of the best here, educate the best of the best here, attract the best of the best from other countries, so that we can not only send our students out to do studies abroad, but also bring them here. When we do that, we're able to increase our economic opportunity, increase the funding, increase the businesses here in Houston.
Wow, that's a very big project. It's very
It
unique.
is. It's a lot to swallow, but we have a lot of great board members that serve on there that they're not all of them are educators. They're passionate about education.
About our next generation, the competitiveness, being giving
Yes.
them the right tools, the right education to compete in this global economy.
Yes. And so once they finish 4 years of high school, they'll also have a 2-year associate degree
Already.
already. And so they'll only have to go to school for 2 more years to get their bachelor's. So they're on their way to succeed, whether they like it or not.
This is very unique. I've never heard of a school like that. That would be the first in Houston, I would imagine.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we want to be at the forefront of this.
Yeah, this is you're building from the
Yes.
ground up. You do not have any prototype. This is a prototype. You do not have
Yes.
any examples to use.
We want to make this a prototype so we can replicate it in other parts of the city as well as the country. And so spearheading it are, people in my colleagues in the education school systems as well as businessmen and women who are passionate to bring that a higher level of education here to Houston.
So for our audience members, what could we do, or how could we help if we want to be involved in this?
Well, if you would like to serve, I would love to get an email from you, but more so is the community rallying around this idea of, a higher education for our students, early education in our high schools. And so rallying around that idea would be a great support for us.
Having the entire community come together without political affiliation.
No.
It doesn't matter your racial background, your
No.
income, because education is key to everyone.
That's right. And also raising the bar and the standards of education, not just here in Houston, but around the world.
I applaud you for putting the effort to do this. Starting something from the ground up is always more challenging than any other project.
It is, but I'm a fan of startups. I love startups and seeing something from nothing to something. And that's like, it makes you proud, right?
That's right. I mean, that's how you started your own
Yes,
business from
yes,
nothing.
that's
You
right.
built it by hand, step by step. You saw
That's
it through. Building and leaving something for the next generation
Yes.
that could benefit from our efforts.
That's right.
I really applaud you for that. But could you tell our audience what else does the World Chamber of Commerce do so that they could perhaps be involved, or what could they do to help?
Yes. So with our business committee, what we want to do is there are a lot of investors who would like to invest in companies here in Houston. And we want to know who those companies are, whether it's real estate or restaurants, who need that extra push because we have people who want to invest. So that's one of the things we do, is to foster that relationship between investors and businesses. We are also working with the Energy Committee. The Energy Committee helps to bring light to, we're not talking a lot about it right now, but with the oil and gas industry and everything like that, we want to bring, opportunities and seek out. There are still opportunities out there. We just think there aren't. But there are a lot of opportunities out there that we're working on to bring a forum together, to bring people in the industry together, to talk about those things and bring that to light. So that's another thing we're working on. We are also working on our health committee. We're sending 2 physicians to Izmir, Turkey, to speak on the topic of obesity. That's one of the things, childhood and adult obesity, that's plaguing our community today. And so we're sending representation to another part of the world to meet with other physicians, other doctors, to talk about this topic, to bring back solutions right here to Houston.
Wow. So out of Houston, you're influencing folks in Brazil, in Istanbul, Turkey,
Yes.
in Vietnam. This shows that it's a worldview now, whether it's charitable events or even business opportunities. You want to provide liquidity for businesses overseas or here to
Yes.
help each other grow.
Yes.
It could be funds to invest in another country,
Yes.
or a foreign investor that comes to Houston
Yes.
to help our businesses here.
That's right.
That is
And we work for our members, so as long as you're a member, I work for you. And so we always encourage businesses and individuals who want to be a part of the chamber, because that's how I feel. I'm very loyal to my members, and so if they need help, I'm there.
Thank you, Victoria. We're proud to call you Houstonian. You've done so much, and down the road, there will be so much more that you could do for this city.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Who's Who of Asian Americans in Houston.